Everybody, and welcome to the Body Bag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas.
And I'm Broke Rider Dave.
Well, we did it. We got the first episode out there to the masses, so now we can start hitting our stride. Thank you to all of those who listened to the first pilot episode on the Fear Street trilogy. Hopefully you'll stick around with us and nerd out over some horror movies each week. As always, any feedback is much appreciated. Do not be afraid to tell us how much we suck. Any feedback is good feedback.
Yeah, we're still getting the hang of this, so we will take any criticisms or comments we can. And
we are big boys.
Yeah. We just want to make this podcast as good as we can make it and have fun doing it.
But anyway, on to this week's movie, The Terrifier. So, this movie came out in 2016, but for some reason I remember it coming out like 2019 or something like that. It's a 2016 slasher movie, The Terrifier. I chose it because I had recently seen somebody post about it on Facebook, and I've seen it get a couple of mentions on Facebook. And I'd seen it a couple years ago, but I figured, why not? Killer clowns, fun stuff. This is the second movie by Damien Leone featuring the psycho killer Art the Clown. The first movie being All Hallows Eve.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. So I was about to say, so why are we reviewing this one and not All Hallows Eve? Because I didn't know it was a sequel. So, whoops. What are you going to do?
And there's a third one coming out, I believe.
Yeah, I saw that too. I think it's coming out this year.
Yeah.
So, just a quick summary for those of you who haven't seen this movie. Nothing too complicated. I imagine you can watch this without seeing the first one and kind of follow it along. It's not at all complicated. It's a murderous clown chases two girls one night and kills anybody who comes in contact with him in brutal fashion. Spoiler alert, he kills the two girls, main girls, about halfway through. The rest of the movie is Art killing anyone else who happens to be getting in his way and chasing down the sister of the one of the first two girls. I think her name is Victoria. No, Vicky.
Victoria's
it's
sole
Dawn.
survivor. Dawn was the blonde girl.
Dawn was the blonde girl,
and then Tara was the brunette.
Yes,
that were the original two girls. Yeah,
and Vicky, being a good Samaritan and all-around good sister, comes to help them when their car breaks down and just happens upon all of this murder. That's what you get for being a good person.
Yeah, so the movie kind of starts 1 year after all the fact with a interview with Vicky, who you don't really know. Is Vicky at the moment? Because I missed the part where they jump.
Yes, we'll get into to that a little bit, but if they want to watch the movie, they can watch the movie. Just that was just the brief recap. But what were your initial thoughts on this movie? Just in general.
Really, really, really gory. Art the Clown, for someone who doesn't speak, is actually really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way he conveys all his emotions through his face and body actions.
I forgot, because I saw this about 2 years ago. I forgot how low budget this movie was. This movie was made for about $100,000. But I kind of love it about that. It kind of had that feel of a movie that, if you've ever been to a horror convention, they have screenings of people trying to get their movies off the ground. It felt like one of the movies that you would see getting a screening at one of those horror cons.
Yeah.
So because of that, there's also all of the effects in this are completely prosthetics and no CG in this movie. It's just prosthetics and what's the word I'm looking for? Practical effects. That's the word. Practical effects. And I'm a sucker for practical effects, so I will forego any kind of plot if the prosthetics and the practical effects looks halfway decent, and they do. It definitely felt like somebody's passion project, which you can't really, fault somebody for not having a big budget. I kind of love it.
Yeah, but definitely did have a lack of plot.
I mean, it's a slasher movie. I mean, it's like you get just go into it. No, it's a typical slasher movie. people are getting chased by a psycho killer clown.
Yeah.
You don't really need to have much of a plot. It's a psycho killer clown.
Usually in slasher movies, though, you get a little bit of backstory on, the killer. Maybe
well,
we
probably
would
have if we saw maybe All Hallows Eve will be at some point during the future. So
yeah, because there's like no backstory on Art the Clown on why he's doing what he's doing. He's just murdering everybody.
Now, let me ask you a quick question, because this is a gory movie.
Yeah,
and it definitely relies heavily on the gore. Now, it feels weird for a horror fan to ask, like, what do you think about gore? But there are horror fans out there who just, like, gore turns them off and they can't enjoy a movie. And a lot of people have said that gore is just a cheap way to, like, not put a plot in, or just a cheap gimmick. What do you think about that? Because this is overly gory, or heavily on the gore aspect.
It relies heavily on gore, which I'm kind of a big fan of. I think it's just kind of, with the horror movies I grew up with, where it all had decent smelling gore, so it's never been anything that turned me off.
Like, what would you say, like, when people say that it's just used as a cheap gimmick to, like, not have a plot in your movie, which this might not be the best argument for it, because this has no real plot.
Yeah,
but just in general, in terms of its place in movies, I mean,
sometimes I feel like there are some movies that are definitely like that, where they just bunch of kills and they don't have any really story to go along with it. Which I feel like Terrifier is. Maybe if we would have watched the first one, we could have got a little bit more story, but there are some movies with a lot of gore that have decent stories, so, it's not just like a one-size-fit-all thing, it's case-by-case scenario.
Yeah. Gore never turns me off. If anything, I like watching to see, all right, how did they, like, shoot this? Like, you got squibs and you got prosthetics and stuff like that, but I don't know. I just like the idea of a props designer spending hours figuring, all right, how am I going to make this look as realistic as possible to make people feel as uncomfortable as possible?
Exactly.
That's somebody's paycheck right there.
Yeah. Then sometimes they make it look really good. Like, a lot of scenes in this were actually really done really well. Which
I imagine we'll get into when we talk about the kill of the movie. One in particular, I'm sure.
It's going to be a hard one this week. There are a couple of really good ones.
There was actually, like, when I saw that there were only two, like, chicks running around, I was like, are there only going to be 2 kills in this movie? And then I forgot, oh, there's plenty of other side people who get axed off.
Yeah.
All right, but next thing I wanted to talk about was clowns. Clowns in general. Scary or not scary? Put that out there. Scary or not?
Say creepy.
I'm asking. Creepy?
Yeah, creepy. I've always been a little bit creeped out by clowns. And I feel like when there's a clown in a movie, it adds a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Except for Pennywise. I never thought he was that scary of a antagonist.
To me, when I think clowns are either hilariously depressing or trying to sell me a Happy Meal. I never really found them scary. Well, but weirdly, Art the Clown, I find hilarious, which is what a clown is supposed to be, ironically, that I don't find him scary. Well, I find the idea, because he doesn't do anything that, like, just a crazed maniac on bath salts couldn't do. But as a clown, I found him kind of hilarious, which is what a clown is supposed to do. So
yeah, there were some moments that were actually pretty funny from him.
Just,
Which pays compliments to the actors, because he didn't have any lines at all. It was all just actions and facial expressions.
At the very beginning of the movie, it was, hey, we want you to be as creepy as possible without saying anything, like, and creepy as in, like, you're alone in a pizza parlor. We want you to take the table that is right across from the main people and just stare at them like a crazy person would. Don't say, just smile at them. You don't have to say anything, and then remember that you're a clown and just start being a weird clown. And I don't know. I got more laughs than I got like scares out of them.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that year. What was it, 2016, 2017, when everyone was seeing like just random creepy clowns standing around.
You would catch them a lot on the doorbell cameras that people would have.
Or just randomly standing at the side of the highway. It's like, okay.
I mean, it definitely seemed like a movement at some point, but
yeah.
I mean, that's died off. But I don't know. I don't know if Art the Clown was like this in the first movie. Again, I might just have to watch the first one on my own.
Yeah,
because I'm kind of fascinated with him.
Me too. Like, I feel like this definitely could become like a franchise.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. I mean, it's an anthology. It has 3 movies, so.
Oh, well, the third one, coming out. Yeah.
So, all right. Now, you mentioned Pennywise earlier, and he's obviously the granddaddy of
clowns,
of killer clowns in horror movies. But you also have, like killer clowns from outer space. You got the American Horror Story.
Was so cheesy. Oh, I hated that clown in American Horror Story, though.
So, but I was also thinking, I'd asked a question not too long ago on Facebook. I put forth the question. So, like, what gives, like, a horror movie icon, like, staying power? Because we all know Michael Myers. We all know It. Tim Curry's It.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that the Terrifier is... Because I didn't even know that this was a sequel. I don't know how much staying power Art the Clown has. I mean, I definitely remember... All right, well, I already said spoiler. All right, little bit less than halfway through the movie, we get the scene that sticks with me more than anything in the movie, and that's is her name Dawn? Dawn's the blonde, right?
Yeah, Dawn's the blonde. Yeah.
Talking about movie deaths here. Dawn gets captured by Art the Clown and gets strung upside down in his little murder garage or whatever. She's upside down, butt naked, and he takes a handsaw, not a chainsaw, just a regular handsaw, and just proceeds to cut her down the middle. She's hanging upside down, cuts her down the middle, basically groin first. And... That's the scene that I most remember from when I thought about the Terrifier movie. That was the scene that reminded me. Oh, that movie, Terrifier, the upside down lady getting chucked in half groin first scene.
Yep, that's something that'll stick with you. But back to your question about staying power. I mean,
the reason why I brought that up was because I remembered the kill way more than I remembered like Art.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into like a kill, franchise staying power. Like, if you look at Halloween back in the 70s, he didn't have that much competition in, like, the slasher genre. And then also with the work of, like, Jamie Lee Curtis's Final Girl, made that more compelling, which kind of turned it into a classic, which led to the franchise. And then you look at Friday the 13th, just kind of the whole storyline of who Jason was, having that, like, kind of background story on him, got people interested. And I think that one came out in, like, 91. So a lot of people who were adults and saw it were kids when John Wayne Gacy was, going around killing people as a clown. So it kind of brought them back to their childhood, and they could kind of relate with the kids in Part 1.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, before all the sequels of Halloween, we just thought that Michael Myers was just a killer, just killing because he was crazy. If we were just to go by the first movie,
Yeah.
before we knew anything about the cult resurrecting him, before we knew anything about his sister, before we knew anything about that, we just thought he was a crazy person who just broke out of an insane asylum and just started killing people.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's what Art the Clown is too. He's just we don't get any real reason. He's just out there killing people.
Yeah.
So I'll put it out like this: if Halloween didn't exist, or if the Terrifier came out like before Halloween,
Yeah, I feel like the Terrifier came out at the wrong time. Because you gotta think, when All Hallows Eve came out, I think I saw it came out in like 2012, and then Terrifier in 2016, right?
yeah, that sounds right.
Slasher movies were kind of in that time frame down, and more people were going to see, paranormal type horror movies. So I think that kind of reflects on how this one doesn't get as much popularity as it probably should be.
You think
just in the time frame it came out? Yeah.
You think the time of the slasher movie has passed? I mean, we had Fear Street last week, but I mean, just in general as a popular thing, you think the era of like slashers is behind us and we're like moved on to something else now?
I think it has like peaks and valleys, and right now we're heading up towards a peak. With you got Halloween coming out. They're rebooting.
Candyman is coming out, isn't it?
Candyman's coming out in a few weeks, and then you got Halloween.
I guess it is making a resurgence. I guess people are trying to pay homage to the old
Nightmare on Elm Street's coming out next year, along with Scream 5. So I think it's going back up to a peak. I think
it's Hollywood realizing, you know what, we're running out of ideas. Let's go back to the old formula. People like slashers, right?
Yeah. I think it was like movies like Hostel kind of went too far and pushed a lot of people away.
I like the Hostel movies.
I liked them too, but for a lot of people it was just too much. So they started getting into like the Paranormal Activities, the Conjuring type movies.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll eventually do our own stuff. I'm sure some ghost movies and paranormal movies will.
We'll definitely have to get into those.
But I don't know. Though I've never been really creeped out by paranormal stuff. I'll enjoy them, but I've never really been creeped. I'd never really like the whole Conjuring series. But anyway, that's a discussion for.
I liked Sinister because I felt like it kind of combined paranormal with like a slasher type deal.
It was all right.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's just I don't know.
Yeah, we'll cross those bridges when we get there.
Nothing that I don't. It's not that I don't like them. It's just that I kind of sit there and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be scared right now, but I'm kind of not. So
I feel like they're too reliant on jump scares.
Yeah, well, some of them are. All right, so kill of the movie. What's I'll let you go and tell me yours first.
I have a feeling you're gonna go with Dawn's kill. What I'd have to go when Tara died, because she had a chance to survive. She had the upper hand, but instead of trying to get away, she talked shit to Art. Mm-hmm. And he fucking pulled out a gun on her. I wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting him to use a gun at all. Kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, I did kind of like. I like the idea of a slasher saying, "You know what? Screw this."
I'm just gonna cap you real quick.
Just chill out right here. I'm gonna go get some bullets real quick.
Yeah, and then I'll come back and finish the job.
Actually, no. Even though the Saw scene with Dawn is the one I remember, for the kill of the movie, it actually went to Vicky. For me, when she killed the interviewer at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was so random.
Because, well, at the time we didn't know that was Vicky.
Yeah.
So when I see this, like, I saw this horribly disfigured woman getting like interviewed, I was like, all right. I was like, she's talking about a horrible thing that happened. I was like, all right, so is this something that's to come, or is this like a survivor from the first movie?
Right, I had the same thought too. Like, survivor the first one.
So, just to set the scene, the interviewer interviewed this like horribly disfigured woman who we would later find out is Vicky, and then cut to her in her dressing room, just bad mouth talking the interviewee that she just got finished talking about, and just now, I always laugh when people like say things that foreshadow their own deaths. Whenever people have to like shoehorn a phrase in, like, "Oh man, I'm totally gonna kill you," or "Oh man, so and so is gonna totally murder me," I'm like, oh well. I cringe at lines like that just because I'm like, yes, we get it. You're gonna die. But I mean, you could totally use that and it work fine if you play with audience expectations. But anybody who ever says like the phrase "so and so is totally going to kill me" or "I'm totally going to murder you" is most certainly going to die. And out of nowhere, you think it's going to be the Terrifier that comes out and kills her, but it's the disfigured woman. Vicky jumps out and just gouges this woman's eyes out and just starts laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, or if like the Terrifier is like a curse that goes from person to person, or if it was just to set you up for like, this movie's just going to be a lot of crazy killing, so just strap in. Yeah, just, horribly disfigured woman just laughing after gouging someone's eyes out. Gouging the eyes of the woman she just bad-mouthed her. That goes to Vicky. Not the most memorable, but, I don't know. Something about that.
Was a really good kill, because...
had nothing to do with anything. It's
just like, is it going to be a setup for the third?
I'm crazy now.
Yeah.
I was a good Samaritan, awesome sister, but now I'm a crazy person.
Because society views me as a monster, so I'm going to be that monster.
But anyway, that in a nutshell was the Terrifier. Definitely a tonal shift from Fear Street. I think it was actually a good choice just because you had a big budget slasher gory movie with the Fear Street trilogy. Being a Netflix original series, it had, Netflix money to basically
help them out with all the
everything. So it was good. It was interesting to go to one that's a generic slasher, but with a much less budget.
Yeah.
So
I would say I'd give this movie probably 3.5 out of 5. Wasn't the best, but for its budget, it did a really good job with the effects, and acting wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So
the acting was just as bad. no, the acting. There's a reason why I remember the kills more than anything, because there were scenes where I was like, "You want to do a take 2 on that? Maybe you want to say that."
Yeah,
line,
I get that. I think I came in with such low bar expectation for the acting. Like, I was expecting like Camp Sleepaway type acting, and it was better than I thought it was going to be for me.
I'd say I'd give it like a 2.53 if I'm in a good mood. Just it's a generic slasher, but I mean, but certainly not. I mean, if you're not a fan of gore, then you're not gonna like it. But for just a generic slasher,
you just look at throw something on it.
Creepy clown. I'll give it a 2.53 if I'm being nice.
Yeah.
So that's the Terrifier. I believe you're up for this upcoming next week's movie of the week. What you got for us?
Next week, we are going to go with the classic Candyman, since the new one's going to be coming out.
I'm glad that you chose that one, because that was going to be my pick. Now I can have a different pick for my next one. I might actually go see. When is it? Is it coming out?
I think it comes out on the 23rd.
On the 23rd of this month?
Yeah.
It comes out this month, though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so yeah, we can definitely do that. Oh, I might actually go ahead and watch that, the first one, and then go to the movies to see it, and then I might have a little bit of a recap.
Okay, I was wrong. It comes out on the 27th.
Oh, so
I just googled it. Yeah.
Oh, but either way,
Yeah.
paying some homage to the Candyman. I'm down with it.
Definitely, it's a great movie. I'm excited to go back and watch it.
But that will do it for this week's Body Bag Podcast. Again, thank you to anybody and everybody who's listening, and please tell us what you would like us to react to.
And
anything and everything is on the table.
Yes.
So
you can find us at Body Bag Pod on Twitter, and then Body Bag Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And YouTube, we are at Body Bag Podcasts. And if you are listening on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. And we are also on...
Please, we need the likes and subscribers.
Yeah. iHeartRadio and Spotify. And by the time it comes out, we should be on Apple Music.
All right, well, that'll do it. Bye, everybody.
Have a good week, everyone.